Today, Teaching Your Toddler is welcoming a very special guest, Mijha Godfrey, the co-founder of the Jambo Book Club. The Jambo Book Club is a monthly book box subscription that shines a spotlight on children of color and their stories through the power of beautiful literature. Mijha has appeared on many outlets including CNN and Bloomberg Business Week. She is a wife and the mother to 3 daughters, and we welcome her to the show today. Hi, this is Mary Tinlin from the Teaching Your Toddler show, and today we are welcoming Mijha Godfrey to the show from Jambo Books. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be talking with you.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you and about how you got started with Jambo Books.
Sure. I am actually a lawyer by trade, but I took some time off when I had my first daughter, and that time just sort of kept building and kept building as I had another child. And one thing that we noticed, my husband and I noticed when our daughter was young, was that we had really great books in her home library, but a lot of them were not reflecting the world that we lived in, and they weren't reflecting our family at all. And my father-in-law had purchased a book club subscription for my oldest. And while the books were all classics, they were all of sort of the 1940s and 1950s time period. And those books were just overwhelmingly white, and we are Black. And we just felt like we really want our daughter to be able to see herself in the books in her home library as well. So we started looking for books that were fiction. We didn't want a whole lot of nonfiction books for our then 2-year-old. We just wanted her to see images of little girls and boys like herself who liked fairies and mermaids and didn't want to go to bed. So we found that those books were kind of hard to locate. And after we had sort of built a pretty good collection of them, I said, gosh, I wish someone would just send these books to our front door. So it wouldn't be quite so hard to find them. And that's really how Jambo Books was born, because I couldn't find another subscription service that would send just beautiful fiction books of children of color, just living their lives and having a great time being a kid.
Oh, that's a really important point, I think, about the monthly box, that you don't have to go out shop and you don't have to, kind of browse through all the books. They come straight to your door. How amazing for, moms that have little people in their house, right?
Yes, exactly right.
Fantastic. Well, so tell me a little bit about how do you find those books? How do you source them? And I know that you have boxes for all ages, all the way from 0 up until, what is it, middle school?
Yeah, up through 13. So that gets you about to the 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Right. So how do you find all those amazing books? That seems like it would take a long, long time.
It does. But, it's a labor of love. I really love, there's so much more variety out than there was when I was a child. So there's a lot more to choose from. But we, use every avenue available. We are on Amazon. Back in the old times, we would be in the library all the time. We'd be in bookstores. I get book recommendations from friends and now from members as well, send me book recommendations. And we're at a point now as well where we're working directly with publishers. So they will send me sample books that they think, would fit well into what Jambo Books is looking for. And I get independent authors as well who reach out to me and send books. And so we've been able to include some of those, which is really nice to be able to give an independent author a bigger platform to share their talent with the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm an author as well, and I so appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's so many authors out there that it's great that you are able to work with all of those folks, that you can work with the big guys and the little guys too.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So you spoke a little bit about, having the books sort of reflect more of what your family looks like. What is the criteria when you're looking at all these fabulous books that you're getting? What are you looking for in a specific book?
Well, first, it has to be fiction. I do blog about nonfiction books and nonfiction topics, but we just send fiction in the boxes. And the books need to have a great story, an interesting story with fun characters who will draw you in. The characters need to be human, so the star of the story has to be a child, and it has to be a child of color. So while there can be magical animals in the books, the animals are not the star of the stories. The
Hmm.
stars are the children.
Hmm.
And the only time we do send nonfiction is for our older subscribers. For the ones who are 10 to 13, they'll get a middle grade novel, and then they also get a companion book that expands on a topic that was covered in the middle grade novel.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Would that be could you have like a historical fiction novel and then you would have a companion book a little bit about that period or something? Is that how that
Yes,
works?
exactly right. Like one of our favorite books is Dactyl Hill Squad by Daniel Jose Older. And it's historical fiction about New York City in the time of the Civil War. And there actually was an asylum for colored orphans. And so it's about these kids, and they are battling to remain free because the real magistrate Riker wants to capture them and sell them into slavery into the South. And so they battle to remain free with dinosaurs. And so that's where you get Dactyl Hill Squad, because it's Pterodactyl Hill. And it's just so cool. Um, just you can tell I really like the book. And then
Yeah.
we send a nonfiction book with it called City of Sedition, which talks about New York City in the time of the Civil War. So it's
Oh,
cool.
wow. That sounds fascinating. I would read that book.
So it's fun. Absolutely. I recommend it to adults all the time.
So, when they get their books, it's two books every month, right?
It's 2 or 3 books. So generally, the 0 to 2-year-olds will get 3 books, and the older kids will get 2 or 3 books, depending on if I've got a lot of soft covers or mostly hardbacks.
Okay, that makes sense. And I saw on the website you can sort of pick. There's like some pretty wide price ranges. Is that based on how long you have the subscription for how many months?
Yes, exactly right. So for just 1 month, it's $34.99, and then as you get a subscription of 3, 6, or 12 months, you'll get discounts. So it'll go like 10% off for 3 months. If you buy 6 months, you only pay for 5 books or 5 boxes, and if you buy 12 months, you only pay for 10 boxes.
Aha, so get some volume discounts.
Yes.
Fantastic. I also saw that you have a gift giving option, which sounds like an amazing idea for grandparents or other family members.
Yes, it's really awesome. I see all of the gift messages, so I sort of get a sense of what people are giving, and so many grandparents and so many aunts and uncles who unfortunately aren't able to see their little loved ones over
Mm,
this extended,
mm-hmm.
have been able to send them. They make a FaceTime with the books so that they can
Oh,
share them together. It's really, really nice.
oh, that's a great idea to share the
Hmm.
books together. Wow. Oh my gosh.
For sure. My mom, when my oldest was about 3, and my mom was living in California and we were still here in Georgia, she would get on FaceTime with my 3-year-old, and I would lie on the floor and take a nap. And my 3-year-old would take books over to the iPad and like put it in the
Oh,
screen, and she would just read them to her. It
oh
was
my gosh.
magical, and I could get
That's so
asleep.
great. And you could get a sleep. Like that's a double
Yes.
bonus, right? Time with grandma
Yes.
and a nap. Woohoo.
Hmm.
Oh wow, that's great. So tell me a little bit more. I mean, those are great ways to share. What are other stories you've heard or reactions to the books that you have learned about?
Well, one thing I really like is that people will send me their kids' reactions. And so someone told me that because we do mixed age subscriptions as well. So let's say you've got, like me, a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old in the house. You can mix up your subscription so that you get books for both ages in one box. And so one person told me just yesterday that her son, who is 8, loves the books so much that he recognizes the box when they come because they're covered in like really nice art.
Hmm.
So he grabs the box and like tries to run upstairs and hide so he can get to the books before his little sister does. Which I was like, well, maybe he could share them because I mean, there's some in there for her too, but fair enough.
Right. Yep. Yep.
I get it. I mean, I love that the kids are loving the books, and that another subscriber, she buys a subscription for her kids' school. And then sometimes she would go in again in before times and read to the kids. And, she had a situation where one little girl who was, I think she was a Black girl, said, I've never seen a book with a character who looks just like me. And she looks just like me. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful.
That is. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it a little bit, but I did see on the website that the boxes that they come in are beautiful. Where do you get the artists that do that?
Well, I'm scouring the internet looking for artists who have created just beautiful pieces that celebrate the joy of childhood with kids of color. So I've actually been able to work with she is West African, but lives in, oh gosh, Scotland, I want to say. Yes.
Like you do.
As you do. And so we've used her art. Her name is Beatrice Ajayi. We have Minal Patel, who's in San Francisco, Rablu Trujillo, also in like Oakland area. So I just find these artists whose work I just love, and I say, oh my gosh, can we license it to put on the box, please?
Absolutely. What a great way for those artists to have some exposure as well. It's mutually beneficial, right?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
so then the kids, when they see the boxes, they immediately know, this is mine. And we just started an annual competition where members can submit their own artwork for inclusion in the Jambart boxes. And so we have 2 boxes going out this year with our own members' artwork on it.
That's a great idea and a way to involve the subscribers. That's so cool.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
And they turned in really gorgeous stuff.
Oh, yeah. So what's the deadline on that one?
Well, it did pass. So,
okay.
So
is it
one
something
box
you think
is
you'll
out
do
now.
more than once?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to do it again next summer.
Nice.
So stay tuned.
Very good. Excellent. Well, these are just so great. Can you give us a little bit? I know you said that they kind of have, you were talking about fairies and mermaids and things like that. I mean, do you have specific themes that kids seem to react to better, or do you have favorites that you try to use, or is it just pretty much whatever stories you find? Tell me a little bit about your selection like that.
Well, I do try to mix it up as much as possible because, I'll know maybe one month I'm sending Not Quite Snow White, which is about a Black girl who is, let's say, around 5 or 6, and she wants to try out to be Snow White in her school play, but she's like, am I really Snow White?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. And then, maybe the next month you'll get a book called Best Friends in the Universe with Hector and Louie, who are a Hispanic and a Black boy who are best friends. And then they get into this big argument, and then they, make up by the end of the book. So I try to give a lot of different options, and I don't want to make kids feel like they should be pigeonholed into any particular genre because of who they are, what they look like, or what their gender is. So interestingly, one of the books that we love is called Lucia the Luchadora, and it's about like a little Mexican American girl who wears the Mexican wrestling mask on the playground. And like the best feedback I got from that book it's all from boys.
Oh,
The
wow.
boys love Lucia the Luchadora.
Oh,
So yeah, exactly. And I encourage parents to try and encourage their kids to also be open about new things, because my 8-year-old, if she reads a book, it needs to have a fairy or a unicorn in it, period, end of story. And I'm like, come on, you gotta spread your wings a little bit. And when I can slide a Jambo book in front of her that does not actually have a fairy or unicorn, she tends to like it.
yeah.
But we have to kind of push our kids outside of those comfort zones a little bit.
I did see on your FAQs that sometimes parents might say, well, my boy wants to read books about boys, but that you encourage sort of keep your open mind about whatever the story is, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, stories are supposed to be about these universal themes, right, of humanity. And if we're not teaching our kids that they can connect with a character who doesn't look like them, then I think we're doing them a disservice, because
Mm-hmm.
the whole world, once you become an adult, is about being able to connect with people who don't look like you and don't have
Exactly.
your exact background. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we're trying to push that forward.
That's great. What a great way to encourage that for all kids. What's sort of on the horizon for Jambo Books? What else do you have going on?
Well, one thing that we want to start, and we're hoping to start it earlier, is sort of Jambo Book Club in real life, because we have subscribers all over the country, and I'll bet that a lot of them don't know that they are living next to people who are also really dedicated to social justice and to like racial harmony and reconciliation. And so what we wanted to do was allow people who live in the same areas volunteer, if they want to opt into being a part of Jambo Book Club in real life. And we will help them to meet each other. We'll provide materials for meetups if they want to get the families together and the kids can read or the kids can play and the parents can talk about different topics that we can provide. And what that does is it's going to give you another opportunity to meet like-minded people in your area that you may not have known were there.
Absolutely. That sounds really great. Hopefully we'll get out of this lockdown quickly and you'll be able to do that.
Yes, yes, yes. I certainly do hope so.
Fantastic. Great. Well, do you do any connecting on the social media platforms? I know you guys have different pages, but do you sort of try to connect people that way?
Yeah, what? I hadn't thought about it. One thing, well, we did think about doing Facebook, but I have to hire somebody because Facebook is a full-time job and a half.
Yeah, right.
So if I'm gonna try to have, like Boston and Milwaukee and LA and San Francisco, like I'm gonna have to have somebody who can
Mm-hmm.
manage those groups,
Right.
because that is one thing I wanted to do, was sort of private Facebook groups. People could just come together and say, hey, I live over in Brooklyn and, we're Jambo Book Club members and my kids are this old and, maybe we can get together at the park. But yeah, I have to have somebody else
Yeah, for
do
sure.
that
It's
because I just
it's
had
very hard to
a
manage all
baby.
that. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Well, great. Well, thanks so much for talking about Jambo Books. I know most of the listeners of this show have little people, like young, toddlers, or toddler age. So, as a mom, what sort of advice or thoughts would you give to young moms who might be listening to the show?
What would my advice be to toddler moms? Gosh, I would say that the now that I have my oldest one is 8, I would really just underline that the days are long, but the years are short.
Oh.
And to the extent that you can, I know it is a hard ask in the moment because I have just a very little baby right now in the moment, and it's hard for me to just focus on and give them your full attention, because those times are going to go by so quickly, even
Mhm.
though they are worrying you to death with constant questions or like trying to dart out into the street or, wanting you to play or paint, or like my daughter, Mommy, you be the lamb. Oh my God, I hate make believe toy games. but those times are so precious and hard at the same time. So give yourself a break. It's okay to say I really need a sensory break from all of you right now, but then try to remember how precious the time is, because it will pass, and you'll blink and they'll be in the third grade.
Yes, or in college.
Oh, I
Mine
know,
are in
I
college.
can't think about it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's great advice. I know sometimes in the moment, it's overwhelming. When my first two children were young, they were 19 and a half months apart, and I feel like
Oh,
I know my brain was gone for like 2 years. I couldn't remember anything. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know if I had showered. Like it was just
mhm,
nuts. But you're
mhm.
right. It's in a blink of an eye, and now they're both in college. So
Wow,
yeah.
congratulations. You
Oh,
did that,
thanks.
Mom.
Well, so far so good. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Awesome. Well, where can people find out more about you and about Jambo Books?
Sure. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Jambo Books, also on Pinterest at Jambo Books. And our website is jambobooks.com. That's JAMBOBOOKS.com.
Oh, fantastic. I should ask you at the top of the show, how did you choose Jambo Books as the name?
Well, Jambo means hello in Swahili. And part of our purpose was to try and spark conversations and connections across what people think might be, impassable divides like race or socioeconomic status, gender. We really wanted folks to start to know each other and read about each other. And so, hello and welcome.
Oh, that's great. What a wonderful way to wrap up the show. We really, again, so appreciate you being on the show today. And of course, I will leave all the links to your website and things like that in the show notes so people can find you. And again, thank you again so much for talking to us.
Thank you. This was great fun.
Absolutely. This has been the Teaching Your Toddler podcast with Mary Jo Tinlin. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you'll find us on our website at www.teachingyourtoddler.com, as well as on Facebook at Teaching Your Toddler, on Instagram, and on Twitter at Teaching Toddler. So join us again, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.